All right. I'm going to do a little bit different than I've done it in the past, and I'm going to try my best to not make it so broad in so many things that I don't get specific enough, because I end up walking out of here and I'm getting grabbed. Can you help us with this and this and this and this? And I feel like I haven't done what I set out to do. You know, it's a great business. You guys are in. You know, you've done so many great things, and you need to pass it on. You need to keep teaching young guys and young people and give back all the things that I stole, all the things that I learned. I have been the luckiest guy in the world. I got a telephone call in the middle of the night or late at night and was offered a job to be a line coach, and I didn't know one thing. I'd never been in a stance. I'd never done anything, but I had a reputation of being a good teacher, a school teacher, a good teacher, and the guy said, "I'll teach you all that other stuff," and that's how it started. And I can't tell you how many people I've pulled on and pulled in and kept helping and kept doing these things, and you owe it to each other. You owe it to our business, to our group, our society. I'm a big believer in our group, because we have the best kids there are in football. We have the smartest, other than the quarterbacks. We've got the smartest and we got the best kids, and we have to play together. We have to function together, and it's a great place to learn the tools of teaching and how you're doing it. And I try to help. I try to do some of these films and cuts, and there's 2 or 3 things out there. Right now I'm kind of messing with Coach's Choice, because that's a group that's trying to get more information to people. If that's your deal, whatnot, there's a pile of them out there, and if you don't stop by and at least look, you're crazy not to go there. I'm going to start right off with heading toward teaching the principles of wide zone, where it came from, how it go there. I'm going to start right off with heading toward teaching the principles of wide zone, where it came from, how it occurred, all the people that kind of led into it, and all the people that are doing it right now, okay? Now, I'm not trying to talk you into doing anything, okay? You do what's best for you. You guys that have running quarterbacks, this may not be for you. This may be something that you want to put in your resume to learn, to study, and sometime you may be where they don't want the quarterback running. Do you understand that? I get fired when he gets hit. That's how it works. It will always be that way in the NFL, because they're so valuable, and we cannot allow people to have free shots on them, free hits on them. They're too big and strong and powerful, and I'm not trying to talk you in or out of anything you're doing. You do what you do. Whatever wins is whatever's going to keep you alive and kicking. But I know what set the better for us, and we needed the quarterback not to be a part of the particular phase of our running game other than play action. And I'm going to spend a lot of time tying together the naked boot keeper system that goes with wide zone, because they function together, and the play action of tight zone. I'll show you how they fit, why they're there. We won't have a lot of time for questions and answers, but at the same time, if it's something that's just burning a hole in you, then stick it up, and we'll do the best we can to cover it as we go, okay? Now, before I really jump in it, let me just say this. The game has not changed in basics. The game is still about getting your second step down and hitting a guy with your fist or hands and your forehead. Do you understand that? That game is never going to change. And the faster you get your second step down and you strike him with your hands and hat, the better you're going to be. I don't give a shit what drills, what kind of equipment you got. It has nothing to do with it. If you can't take that principle and put it into football as an offensive lineman, you are not going to be successful. So don't give me that shit where them heads are back here and you're run blocking, because you're in the wrong family. You need to get out of that group and go somewhere else, because you're peeping for something that doesn't exist. You strike with that and that. And the old timers, it was this. But I stay away from trying to create too many problems, but that's the way I would teach it. So as I go through, I'm trying to tie together a back and a line running wide zone and teaching you guys the principles of what's going to take place. Now here's the complexity that I face. Okay, here's what makes it so complex. Is we all want to be 1 and 2 back offenses. That's a problem. That is a problem. Because I either have a fullback or I don't have a fullback. If I got a fullback, they probably got another linebacker. Okay? If I don't have a fullback, they probably don't have another linebacker, but they very well may be, and they want to know why you can't figure out which ones are which ones. It's hard. Don't kid yourself. Don't assume just because you've got 3 wides on the field and a 1-back system that the defenses are going to change. Will they play the whole game that way? No, they won't, but they will have the ability to. If they want to stop your ass, they will stop your ass, okay? Today in the National Football League, the best running football teams, without any doubt, the best running football teams in the National Football League is Dallas. They just had the best runner, in my opinion, and the best line coach, coaching wide zone I've ever seen. They were fantastic. Okay? Seattle. They got a big hammer, and they take that hammer and run wide zone at your ass until you stop them. Okay? They're good at it. They know what to do with it. And they tie all the pieces together. Baltimore last year. Because Kubiak had left Houston, went to Baltimore, immediately put it in, and finished in the top 5 teams in the categories that I'm going to talk about. Houston, even with Gary leaving, the Brian stayed with wide, had the pieces. He was a functional part of the process. There are other teams that I want to brag a little bit about. The New England Patriots are the best wide zone short yardage goal line team I have ever seen in the National Football League. Ever. That's a lot of years. Okay? They will take the ball and run it right at your ass. And if you don't stop them, they give a shit whether they're throwing the ball and deflating balls and all that fuck. They'll take the ball and stick it right up your ass on wide zone. Okay? Both 1 and 2 backs. But short and goal, there is nobody close. And of course, Denver's getting ready to make the same transition with Peyton, and it's going to be quite interesting to see a guy who's never had any piece of wide become a naked boot quarterback and run wide zone, because it's going to happen. It's going to occur. Now, the whole objective of the thing is this. The whole objective when it got started. I stole a lot of it from Jimmy when he had Icky Woods here. And some of you only see Icky on TV doing his A&P or whatever that shit is. Okay. But Icky could run wide zone. He was a little wider than I believe in. He was about a yard outside the tight end, and but that big son of a bitch went roaring out through there, and he tore this league up for a couple of seasons before his body got beat to hell, like all of them do, and then it kind of went away because they couldn't find the piece to fit there and the piece to fit there, and then it wasn't going, so they went to somewhere else, and that's another whole story. We've all been there, and we all will be there. It's just the way it happens. But I always said, if I get my chance, and I'm making the call, and I'm putting it together, I'm going to run wide zone. Because it only makes sense to me if I run tight zone, they are squeezing me from both sides. And I got to go back to where they are. That doesn't make sense to me. I want to run where they aren't. And so as I got to that phase and started learning it and running it more and more and more and more, the more I realized that I could always turn loose one guy, the guy behind the ball. I did not have to always account for the in away from the wide zone. And I was giving a back a better chance to decide whether to take it down in the mesh or bounce to the edge off of a read system that we developed. And I'm going to talk about it here real quickly as soon as I can quit telling all these stupid stories. But it only made sense. And then, of course, I had to go through all the things of learning landmarks. I had to go through all the things of learning one back, two back. I had to learn how to get a tight end to be a blocker. You guys in college ball aren't helping us with that shit either, by the way. And then if I had a fullback, which again, you aren't helping us with that situation. If I got a fullback, we want to be a two-back team, then I got to get a fullback guy that will go hit linebackers. Okay, he has to be an offensive linebacker. That's what he's got to be. And they're slowly going out of existence, both those two categories, because we don't get enough of them. We can't get them. And I'm not telling you what to do with your offense. I'm just telling you what we're trying to do with our offense. Okay. So let me go through here. Just remember that one back doesn't always mean a six-man group, and two back doesn't always mean a seven-man group, because they can play nickel to two and they can play base to one. Okay? And you better have the ability to fit those things together when we start teaching how to do this. Because when they call that play, you better hope like a way to either get out of it or you got to run into more than you got. And that's not good. You can turn loose the wide one weak, but you still got to account for people to the wrong side of the play. So I'm heading there as quickly as I can, and I'm going to start talking about landmarks here as fast as I possibly can. I'm going to start with one back, and then I'm going to go to two backs and teach off of it. So I'm going to assume I'm either in 2x2 or 3x1. Okay? Does everybody understand those terms? That's a balanced group. You can't run this play without also having the ability to be in trips. 3x1 this way, and of course with the system where the quarterback is back in the gun, it does not change it a bit. I wasn't sure of that because I kind of went through the transition before I got to study, all those films of the college guys that were back here. Like so. All of you call it something different, but it's no different. The landmarks are a little wider, and we'll talk about that when I get to it, but I want to be able to run wide zone, weak and strong, into 2x2 and 3x1, okay? And I don't care whether it's nickel on the field or whether it's base on the field, I've got to be able to handle it. And I've got to set up our play action pass so that they can't always chase and be right. And I want to make sure you understand how we go about doing that. Okay? Any questions so far? We're on the same page? We understand? Okay, now here's the way the world has kind of gone. When we started, of course, everything was set to go strong first. Okay? And then as time has gone on, you're going to see that most of the wide zone teams run more weak than they do strong, especially with 3x1 becoming so big. Now, I don't know how the field fits your agenda, because the pro field's a little different than the collegiate field, and if that's a part of your factor, you better figure that in, because I'm not smart enough to do all that. I just know if it's three of them over there and one over there, two over there and two over there, I know exactly where they are and what I can do, and I'd like to always have the ability to take the play over. So however I called it, I'd like to start it one way and simply over to line of scrimmage and keep it alive. I don't go for a lot of those run to pass. I got enough coaches know, right? I don't want to give none of them up. So I want to be able to run where I got my best chances. And as time has gone on, as I said, the weak side has become the bigger side, and we're seeing a lot more 3x1 than we are by 2x2. But sometimes, the minute you say that, it'll flip around and go the other way. So the way I would set it up in my mind is I would start here, and I would over to here. Why would I do that? Because if they were going to blitz off the secondary, they're going to blitz the three-man side. Okay? They're not going to blitz the single side. If they do, they're going to show it pretty quickly, and you simply go over. Does that make sense? And in 2x2, let's just flip the whole process around. Which side here are we going to have the blitz off of? Okay? It's coming from right there. So I would call it here, and I'd over it to here. How will I know? Because why in the world is there somebody coming down in that sector? That guy ain't coming now. Okay, so all of that has to fit into which way the 3x1, 2x2 premise is. Any questions so far? We doing okay? All right, now let's go to landmarks. All right, now let's go to landmarks, and let's go to talking about combinations. Now, this may blow your mind, but this is the world I live in, and I have lived in all my life, teaching-wise. I love to do it. I do high school guys. I got a couple of grandsons that just played in 8-man football in Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm running wide zone in Birmingham, Alabama, in 8-man football. I had to figure it out. I had to stay up and keep drawing and figure it out. But you figure a way. You figure out a system, and you work out combinations. And when I first started talking to them, they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But let's just take the strong side of the defenses, and let's talk about all the potentials we got. All the front looks that we could have. I'll just quickly draw up maybe 5 that are all going to be a hair different, but we got to have an answer for them. Okay. Now, notice I don't have which side this is, so let's just assume it's 2x2, and I'm going strong. Okay. Because if there's another guy over there, what am I doing? I'm going the other way. Okay. So let's just draw up base fronts and concepts. This is kind of base defense with the potential of that happening all the time. Everybody, that's just vanilla concept. And then, of course, you got to get to the 4-man fronts as quickly as you can. And then they never are easy. Put the backers like this. And then, of course, they put them like this. And then, of course, everybody likes to play a crazy bear front. So I rarely teach a play. I don't have those 6 pictures somewhere in the agenda, and I got to figure out how to run that into the strong side of that with no lead blocker. Everybody with me so far? Okay, now I got to work my combinations. I got to be able for them to go to the line of scrimmage and know whether they're on the front side of the play or the back side of the play. With every play, there is a call made. Usually the center starts it out by declaring a mic. And I know that's frustrating for some of you. I already had 3, 4, 5 guys come up today. Why do you have to change to the mic? Is it pass protection? I said, well, it started out being pass protection, but it quickly became, when you go one back, sometimes the mic player is weak, not strong. He's not in the middle anymore. He's off the weak side. And you better have the ability to get that son of a bitch identified so that you can get over there. And I'll take you there as we go. because those were all base defenses. And then very quickly, if they played nickel, so if that's 2 by 2, that's the Mike player sitting over there on the weak side. But is that the Mike player sitting over there in the under front? No. Okay. So I got to teach the landmarks, front side and back side of every one of those plays. And I got to have a call between those two combinations. And I got to tie it together with the runner. Now that sounds like a mouthful. Now what ends up happening is, this is so complicated that how many more offenses are you going to have before you finish? I'm going to make you learn tight zone, because if they go fast flow, you better have the cutback plays. If they are a hang football team, which most NFL teams are, fighting from inside out, then it's a whole different operation. So what we got to be able to do is identify, okay? So for instance, if I'm going over this way, I know these two guys are working a combination together. And that is the play side guard's call to make. The center actually declares himself as weak. Okay? He's going to make the front side backer the Mike, but he ain't going to the Mike. He's going to the will player. He's going to the weak side. And the tight end is singled up. And we are doing some combination of cutoffs on the back side. Each will have a call. So the center's going to make a call. The right guard's going to make a call. The tackle will repeat the call to the guard. The guard will repeat the call to the center so that the backside can identify how they're going to call it. Now, I don't know what your systems are. It doesn't matter. Every time I go to a different school, I can't remember which one I had. If you had as many jobs as some of us had, you don't remember this job from that job, and I'll have an ex-player come up. Why didn't you call a duo? That was 6 jobs ago. Now we call that deuce, or we call that double, or we call it something else. So you got to get your set of rules and draw up each one of these combinations, because I'm going to talk about landmarks here real quickly, and you got to fit these people blocking these people. Okay? Now, let's talk about it. Let's talk about where we're aiming for. Okay? Now, when we call wide zone, I don't know how you call plays. Most people in the world call 8s to the right and 9s to the left. Some people call it 18 instead of 8. Some people call it 28. Some people call it 38. Look, I could give a shit. 8 is to the right and it's wide. 9 is to the left and it's wide. And it doesn't matter whether there's a tight end over there or not. We either know we've called it weak, strong, and we have the ability to do what? Take the play and make it go over, right? To stay away from the blitzer. Okay, so everybody fits in here. Now you see this one right here? That second step better be down. That helmet better be on the spot I'm going to aim for. And I better get my feet ready to go quickly. But the uncovered lineman is going to have to take about 3 steps. He opens flat. He does not drop step. He opens flat. If he starts kicking back now, you're going to have people stepping on him stepping on the quarterback. You're going to have all kind of shit going on that you don't need. But your aiming spot of this combination, whatever you call that, whatever that word is, let's just make that word for this a slip. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now, what does the tight end automatically know when he heard slip? I'm on my own. I got no help. Anytime I have no help, I must keep my backside hand free to lock off any inside move, because there is nobody coming to help me. Does that make sense? Now, if I have a helper coming, I do not have to use my inside arm as a hold-off, because I got a guy coming with me. So that guard is slipping with the tackle. He takes 3 steps, looking from there to there, And he is going to read this guy and make this guy show us something to the tailback. So let me just draw this. Now that tailback is aiming for the tight end ass, directly to his ass. Jimmy did it with Icky Woods a yard outside, okay? If we don't have a tight end week, we still aim for an imaginary asshole out there to the side. And he's got no help, so what does the tight end got to do? He's got to lock the back end. There's no helper coming. Now he's got to call and he smells something bad, okay? And we'll talk about that. But the synchronization that goes on between this guy and this guy is the same. That 3 steps and that 3 steps, that's a drop step, 1, 2, 3. At the end of the 3rd step, the runner should know what the read is. But he's going so fast and so furious into that seam that he takes 2 more steps before he can make the cut in or the bounce out. He's going to end up taking 5, but he knew at the end of 3 because the guard-tackle combination is going to give him a quick read. Now here's the way we coach the tackle. Your landmark is the outside shoulder pad of the man over you. You do not leave your backhand. Why? Somebody else is occupying the backhand. So we take the backhand. I don't say that out loud, but that's where that's going, right there, hard, nasty. Most people leave it like so, okay? And we are going to make that guy go somewhere. If he hangs, we're going to knock him outside. If he pinches, the tackle is going to keep his hand on the outside shoulder of that guy, and he's going to climb up for the linebacker, and he's going to have been coached 10,000 times. If you ever get one of mine, I will coach them. All great linebackers run underneath the top. They run underneath. They are athletic, they got more quickness than you, they got more speed than you. You make him run over the top if the pinch comes down. Now runner, if you see on the 3rd step the thing go down, pinches down, you are bouncing and you're now running off the tight end's block. The tight end is going to lock his backhand, put his hat on the outside shoulder, and he's going to start working him. But we coach him to lock your inside grabber. Because all outside backers, they sit there. I don't know whether you guys ever watch the defensive coaches drill, but all they do is they take on a run block, shed, fall back in. No, not with his hand. That hand is going to be locked just like so, okay? Now, at the end of that 3rd step, if he made an in move, that ball is going outside of that player, and he's going to cut in or out on his 5th step because he has clearly gone down. If he just hangs, he's a sorry ass, he's a lazy guy, he's a guy that wasn't sure what to do, and he just hangs, our guard is going to push him across the face of the tackle. Why does he have to push him there? Because what am I doing with my backhand? Tackle, what is he doing? He's throwing a fist up in that belly of that guy as hard as he can, and he's leveraging with his outside hand just like the tight end does, and now this hand becomes his grab because when the guy goes down, he wants to throw me out and fall back in. Does that make sense? So we're going to teach both the tight end and the tackle at the end of the play be doing the same technique provided he hangs. If he pinches, it's outside. If he goes out, it's clear. Guard still must take 3 steps, climb the backer. Again, how are we coaching the guard on the backer? All good linebackers run underneath. You got it? Okay. And that clears up all the landmark phases of what we're doing. Now let's go to the next scheme. where we cover the guard. Now the combination is between who? Tackle and tight end. So we've got to have another call. Here we go. Now let's talk this technique. What's the difference between that one and the one we just called slip? It's between which two players? Tackle, tight end, right? So let's call that one combo. Look, I have called these 7,000 things. What's the aiming spot of the tight end on a combo? Outside shoulder. What was the landmark of the tackle? Same deal. Same deal. How about the tackle steps now? Is he going to drop step? No, he's going to step flat, take 3, eyeball both of them. If the guy hangs, what's he going to do to him? Push him out. And look for the linebacker to run in. If he comes down, same process. Tight end now goes to the backer. We coach him. He's going to run underneath you. He's going to run underneath you. And you've got to keep yourself in sync. Now, the next combination call has to be center guards. Now, what I'm going to show you here is now is the key to how you play it. You guys in college ball don't have any idea, but in high school you got no idea. And a lot of times we go out with 7 guys. We never have 8 anymore. So, and a couple of times we've been asked to go out there with 6, and about half of those are full of medicine. So we got to teach these techniques so that a guy can move from right tackle to left guard. Am I getting the point? Now, let's talk this combination. You got to have a word. Now the center's working with that one. That's gap. What's the aiming spot of the gap guard? Outside shoulder. What's the stepping spot of the center? Flat. Don't kick back. You step on the quarterback. 3 steps. Eyeball them both. He hangs. I push. He doesn't hang. He pinches. I take him and I lock him with my inside hand. Guard go up. Backer's going to run under. So I've coached all 3 positions to all 3 combinations, and they go together and they make sense. Okay? Now I'm not going to the back side yet till I keep getting this front side, because I got a couple of things that would have solved a lot of problems if I had known some of these things before I started. You go play Dick LeBeau in a 4-eye. Okay? Now, where's the outside shoulder? Where's the outside shoulder? It's inside of me. So if I hit his outside shoulder, what foot am I going to step with? Not the outside one. You got to step with the inside one. Wow, where's his shoulder? It's on my inside. What's the read? It's going outside. You're going outside. He has killed people in this league for years and years, and now everybody's playing it. Pete Carroll plays it all the time. New England's playing it all the time. Jack Del Rio's playing it all the time. Now it's 4-eye, 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 4-eye. Everybody's playing 4-eye strong. Why do they want to do that? They want you to cut back into a 4-eye. Fuck, you can't cut back into a 4-eye. But your blocking schemes have to change because your footwork changes. Now you got to build your wall off that 4-eye like this. What's the aiming spot of the play side guard now? We tell them to go to the helmet. I don't think I even said that to start with. I gave the landmark of the first guy. I didn't know every landmark of the inside player uncovered steps directly flat at the helmet of the guy we're going to. Where is that 4-eye helmet? That sucker's right there. Does that make sense? We cannot let him split that scheme right there. And we got to force our runner to bounce that play out to the sound player. Where's that backer going to try to throw our tight end? Where's he going to try to throw him? Throw him out and fall back in. Lock back in. Okay? Now, center now becomes a part of the backside combination. He's now in a system, I'm just going to label ABC. I'm just trying to be simplistic. I want help from that one for that. Okay? Now, I'm a center and I got A help. I go through the outside shoulder. I try to make the front side backer climb over the top. Make him go, but I got the backside. Okay? Now, what am I doing with the backside guard? Anybody? I'm cutting that nose guard's ass up right there. Okay? Now, I get in a lot of fights with this one for a lot of reasons. But I do not give him that guy. I give him that guy. And I tell him, and I drill him constantly, that when that center gets by that guy, that sucker's going to be somewhere about right over there. And that's going to be one nasty pile of bodies right there. Okay? But the backside guard does not have the backside inside backer unless the nose guard plays strong side. The backside tackle in an A scheme four-eye, must run that backer and take that guy that we don't know who he is, which one he is. Is he the pinch four-eye? Is he the backer that's plugging? Is he the safety that's coming down to the weak side? Because if he'd be coming down to the strong side, we very well may have over and run the play weak side. Does that make sense? So I have an A call, I've got a B call, and I got a C call. This particular defense would never have a C because I don't have a tight end behind me. That cut right there is the same as the backside guard on that one, and we will not let that guy in that crease, make him run out over the top, turn loose the wide, turn loose the wide, turn loose the wide. Okay, let's flip this baby and go weak. It's primarily an underfront system or a nickel system. Three by one. Okay. Now, here's where it gets complex. Wide weak. Who's the mic? Who is the mic? In that base defense, which is he? Is he really the mic backer? No, he's the wheel backer. Okay, so what do when we come to the line of scrimmage and one back? That's my guy. That's my guy. So I now have to put myself in combination this way. That will be a form of A, but these guys will be calling gap. Mike. And I'm going to talk about this tackle tight end because that's my favorite part. This would be a B system. Okay? Do you understand why he has to be Mike? Is he really the Mike player? No. What does that make the next one back? We actually take Will off the field and say he's a cover player, and we make the backside guy Sam. But for them to understand which ones they have, the center's got to go out and declare it that way. That is complicated now, I'm telling you. You get a dummy in there now, you got yourself a little problem. Okay. Now this combination right here is the most important thing in wide zone. Now what's the attack spot of the guard? Outside shoulder, right? Center, what are you doing? You're drop stepping, you got the inside half aiming for the helmet, eyeballing the backer, and we try to mash that look. Now here's the great equalizer in pro football, I think, and why wide weak has become the best play in the running game. Who is this guy in the NFL? NFL coaches, who is that guy? If you played 16 games, you played 16 guys that are in the all-pro team. Every left tackle gets the best player on the team that's a pass rusher. The best. Whether it's nickel or base, it doesn't matter. That's the guy that's going to be lined up there. That's the guy that's making a hell of a lot more money than anybody you got without maybe your left tackle. So every one of us are scared to death if we don't have a left tackle. You want to know why? Because I'm going to run that ball at that guy. Why do I want to beat on that guy, Jimmy? Why? He's going to do what to me on third down? What's he going to do to me on second and long? He's going to be coming up the field. What have I got to do to him all game long that I'm running the ball? What do I got to do, Coach? I got to beat the shit out of him, okay? Now, I don't hook him. I put my hat slightly outside, and I've changed this through the years. I used to power arm it. I couldn't get away with that very long because they'd spin out off the inside. Some of those son of a bitches are so talented it's scary. So I've gone and Tommy Cable probably had more to do with this than anybody at Seattle. Tommy got them where they would open step and put their hat on the outside shoulder, and they mauled them straight down the middle. Told the runner to read him. If he plays under you, bounce it out. He doesn't play under you, he plays out, take it down. But the most important thing is beat him up. Beat him up, because he's going to try to beat you up. And you want as many weak wides as you can get, because come fourth quarter time, you want that guy slowed down. Does that make sense? Now, is that being unrealistic? Does everybody understand why I made him that guy? Okay. Does everybody understand why he's Mike? Everybody's got that, even though he may be the wheel in the 3 linebacker defense. All right, now, can everybody understand why that's changed? Now, the very minute a team jumped out and played a 3-4, I know this question's coming up. I can see some of you guys are too damn smart. That ain't a real good wide weak look, is it? So you don't want to go there. You want to go over if you possibly can. So you think I don't have an answer on that. Now, one of the hardest things we have in wide zone, and if anybody can come up with this one, you would have saved me a lot of night problems. I got a 3 technique. And I got a shade nose. And I'm running toward the 3. Okay? Wide zone toward the 3. A smart person would tell you, and when we first started, this is the way the rules were, we doubled the 3 to the Mike player, whoever he was. Okay? It didn't matter whether it was weak or strong. We doubled the 3. And we singled the shade. And we had a nightmare. Because what happens when the center steps flat to the 3? What happens to the shade nose? He's got, okay? So, all the geniuses in my room that coach one guy try to tell me, Coach, you got that. You need to A-call that and block the nose. I said, yeah, you go be just got that 3 technique that makes 3 times the money you do, because now my guards make no money. You got to understand. They're just lucky to have a job. And they know that. They got Gun Gadid lined up at 3 technique, and we're running wide zone, reading that son of a bitch. What's getting ready to happen to my runner right here? What's getting ready to happen to him? We don't have a good odds. So here's the way I always do it. I always come in there, and I try to make my mind up as fast as I possibly can, and I look around my room, and I said, okay, which guard is my best guard? Which guard is my worst guard? Which one of those guys is a 3 technique? How come he doesn't ever play nose? There's a reason why, right? Because he's what he is. He's an animal. He's tough. He's a great player. He makes a lot of money right along with that guy on the weak side end. So I do it this way. Okay, my best guard gets the single. My worst guard gets the A. But I double with the worst guard, and I single with the other one. Now, if I ain't got a guard, if I don't even have a guard, I'm going to double the 3. That's what I'm going to do. Now, people say, well, what are we going to do back here? I said, well, I'll tell you one thing we're going to do. We're going to drill cutting off a backside nose to a shade like you can't believe. Like, I'm going to get a little deeper, cross there as flat as I possibly can, and I'm going to nail the back of his legs as fast as I possibly can. And it is an ugly, ugly picture. But can everybody see the problem I had? Can everybody understand how that combination doesn't quite fit the way you'd like for it to fit? Can everybody stay with me there? So, if this is my best player, I'm doing that. That's my worst player, but in reality, it's a cut over here. Okay? Now, I've got right much stuff going here, and I think it's important, but I think I got to stop right there and talk about some tuba. Back, because we all have a coaching staff that wants 1 and 2 back in the NFL. Now there's a few teams that don't have a fullback, but most everybody has some system. So now you've got a whole different agenda. The one thing that'll usually happen if you put a fullback out there, they'll go to base. Okay, I just threw the one where the fullback is weak. He could be in the I formation as well. Does that make sense? Sometimes he's in I, sometimes he's in whatever that is for you. So if I'm running wide weak, base defense is out there. Which one's a Mike now? Okay, that's the guy I got back here. How about the center and the left guard and the right guard? Which one's going to get singled? My best guard's going to get singled. If I were lucky enough to have 2 guards, I could do it any way I wanted to. But odds are you aren't going to have them, and you guys that play in there understand what that happens. Because now this is the fullback's guy. So it's either that or that combination. What's the backside linebacker going to do? Same coaching points, still going to run through. Now back here you got a tight end away from it. That's a C call in our systems. Thing is, we do it a little different. If we have to cut the nose, who can block the backside backer? Backside tackle has to. He's got to make him run. And he sees, leaves the stiff arm for the tight end to pull and cut down just like everybody else does. Going to the strong safety. You make the backer run over the top so that your combination doesn't have that fit. Now the fullback enters in to this player. I'm sorry? Got to go right now. Stiff arms. Anytime we're covered and we are in a combination cutoff, ABC, we always leave our back hand. And if we 3-man it, which I showed you real quickly and kind of dodged you, if you played an under front on me and we're running wide this way, I would call that and leave a backhand. So anytime we pull, we always leave the backside hand so that there's a chance that he will run into that, and then the cutoff guy can drop step and be a cutter. Okay? Now, I hear all that you're clipping and you're doing that and you're being dirty. I am being a dirty, okay? As long as they're tackling my quarterback head off and my runner and knocking his head off, I'm trying to knock their heads off, okay? Don't get me wrong. I don't go out there to try to maim anybody. But I don't see them, the ones that are bitching at me all the time through all these years about cutting their guys, I don't see them bitching about hitting my quarterback, I mean, I'm like, wait, whoa, time out here. This don't go together here. So I have no qualms. Now, if the league says I can't do it, now the league did change. It used to be we could cut them in the back of the legs, and we were good at it. Okay, we did it good. But we realized we got to go further, and we just kept working, and it did not cut down on any of the statistics whatsoever. It wasn't even a dilemma. And now they're trying to make sure you do not roll your legs behind. Well, that ain't a cut if you're rolling your legs behind the guy. So if you just keep preaching what you believe in, now when they change it, somebody else can handle this shit. Don't call me. I don't have the answer to that. But I know how to get those backside guys cut. And I drill the hell out of it, and I work hard on it on bags, and I work hard on it on a big, like punt block shield from different angles, different levels, different sets, because sometimes you're on a linebacker cutting. And we don't get to vote at our place. We don't vote, you can cut or not cut. You cut. Okay, or the general manager gets a sheet that says you had an MA because you didn't cut. When the general manager gets the missed assignment, they don't like that. Okay, so you're going to cut in our room, or you're not playing. That's just the way it is. We don't make any exceptions. And I'm not saying I'm right, but it's worked out statistically, and I stick with that. I kind of got side-boggled there. Let me see where I am here. Now, I want to slow down enough to catch just a piece of tight, but before I do, let's run wide, strong with a fullback. Some good shit here now. Okay. There's 3 or 4 different systems that are in play in the National Football League, and they all got different names and words. But in theory, we can run it into an 8-man front to a strong safety because we have an extra helmet. Does that make sense? The only thing we do differently now that we didn't do 12, 15 years ago is that we would never be in an I formation if they had a backer and a strong safety lined up like that. We would always move the fullback to right there. Okay? Now just bear with me just a second, because I'm looking for edges. I'm looking and squeeze, because that's all the great runner needs. That's all he needs. Because what I'm preaching to him, and I don't want to leave this out, here's what I preach to the runners, and I have for years and years, okay? You make the read, the whole team's going to know whether you should go in or out. They're accountable too. They're in the mix. So I was always trying to figure out a way, to gain an advantage and get into the system. So we started doing it this way, and I think it makes the most sense, is we combination these two. But you can't be an I and do that. You got to get over there. Okay, so if I'm playing 3-4, if I'm playing Dick LeBeau, I know the 4 eyes going to be there. I also know that Bill War Daddy would have been there, right? So I got to help the tight end. I got to give him some help. So I come off on the outside in combination with what on the inside? The fullback. So if the backer hangs and the safety stays out, the tight end releases up to the strong safety. If the Sam plays out and the strong safety falls in, then the fullback goes up in there. He no longer works with the tackle. He doesn't have any phase there. So that's a great answer to 3-4 premises, and those that can understand it, you can gain yourself some real headache problems there. But we've also learned to do a couple other things that make them have some problems, and basically we run all of those out of the eye. And what that is for teams that play a 4-man front principle. 4-3 defense. We arc and run wide zone that way. Obviously the center would be working combination to the mic and declare mic to the player. That make sense? Now what's the problem the strong safety has right there now? He doesn't know whether the tight end is going out or whether you're running the ball, okay? Now, I like it better than that for motion, but there's a little problem with motion. Is when you move, they move. So you can't declare which way you're doing it, but it's great for this front. And all those 3 technique, 1 technique, all those principles stayed the same as regular wide zone to a 3 or a shade or a 2 or a 1. The calls were the same, the techniques were the same, the drills were the same, the teaching points were the same, and that's how we got it. But we had to wait to make the call late in the play. And the tackle had to signal to the tight end which way it was going to be done. Because if that backer walked up on the ball, the play is now changed and it's gone back to base with the tight end taking the backer. So there's a whole bunch of little things that fit into that groove that are really, I think, top-notch football, because you've given them a lot of problems and you're still doing the same premises. Your tailback's still taking his drop step, 3 steps, make the read, got 1 cut, make a decision, get it done on 5, okay? Now we did have 1 rule for our runners. You might use this if you so choose. I used to wild man on the sideline like most of you guys are too, but I always said if they made 5, had to be 5. If you made 5, we all shut up. Backfield coach, when he comes off the field, if he read wrong, you tell him. He's yours, he's your room, you tell him. I don't want anybody else going over there chewing his ass because he made the wrong read and he made 5 yards. What the fuck is I'm giving you how to run the force system with the fullback to the front side to a 3-4. The 4-eye techniques are different. The weak side systems are the same. We changed that to a blow up. Now the fullback becomes the player who has the wheel backer. Got a question I can see, Bobby?
Yeah, the center. You bring this up.
Even on arc and release, I tell here's where a lot of people wondered for years if we were trapping with the fullback, and this is how it occurred. I'm doubling to this one back here, okay? But he can't sometimes get under there because this would come so flat. What would this guy have to do? He'd have to watch him because I'm cutting him. We'd tell the fullback, come back and hit the first thing to the weak side of the defense. If you can get through, go through. What would make you go through? A hole. Where would the runner be running if you went through? He's going to the hole anyway, see? So it fed into the same groove and whatnot. All right? Now, I've given you a whole bunch of things there with wide. The reason I'm so excited about watching the Peyton Manning Denver thing, just so you understand, I'm a big bootleg guy. If I had my druthers, I'd get in this formation till the cows came home, because I can call wide either way. I can go over. I can do anything I want to do in my mind. But I got the best of the bootleg world. Okay, so here's the way every one of these wide zones that I have drawn up here today have been. There's a quarterback doing this. Now they don't like it, but I tell them I don't expect you to do this. I expect you to come off that handoff, turn, and take 2 steps, sprinting away from the ball, and you tell me what your eyes saw at that moment. Was there one back there? If there's one back there, we don't need to be bootlegging. Does that make sense? But if there's nobody back there, we need to be. Sometimes we protect him differently than others. In this formation, I think we were way ahead of a lot of people. When we had Elway, he was just fantastic at this stuff. But we'd take our backside tight end, and he'd come back on bootlegs. And we don't just go do that. We don't block that edge as long as we can. And we tell him to stay as a check down underneath the quarterback. So if the quarterback stops right there, that guy's going to stop right there. That quarterback keeps coming like that, he's going to stay right behind him to give him a dump down. Now you got all kind of combinations. You know how all that shit goes. Gosh, there's a million of them. But I don't get into the routes because that's their world, that's their thing. But that in pass protection, that's the easiest system in America. If you're running that ball into that formation and you call bootlegs. So we never know what the bootlegs are going to be because we don't know which play and which formations. So we put them in for everything. And we made the system of protection so simple that the lineman never had an issue. And the reason I'm saying that, it doesn't matter whether it's weak side, strong side, or a tight end side. So we're coming out here doing that. And you can do that out of pistol too now. I mean, you know, it's the same. It's not a bit different. But we tell that guy, he's got number 1 on the line of scrimmage. He's got number 2 on the line of scrimmage. Center, do not let one come between them. Do not let one come between them. And you be balls out, go get them. Full speed, maul. Don't go downfield, but maul right there. Then we take our backside player. He's got to take all the way down to whatever leaks there, and the backside tackle's got the first thing, because of zone dogs, to wall him back. And it didn't make a fuck what the rules were. That was it for all bootlegs. So I might have 18 bootleg passes in, because we don't know what's going to go good, because what do you want to bootleg off of? Whatever they're struggling to stop. Does that make sense? Just use your brain. And some of the best quarterbacks have not been running quarterbacks. Some of the best bootleg quarterbacks are guys that are nifty, that are smart, that buy time and then throw the ball away. But the percentage of throws, I mean, it was like 75% completions, 78% completions. And I'm sitting there looking at those drop back things in first and second down, and I'm seeing 58, 54, 56, and I'm going, what the fuck, bootleg? 75, 78. What are we doing here? I mean, too many crickets. So I just think that world's easy, and you've got to match up all those things, you know. The routes are not that hard. It's a matter of getting the formations called and run and whatnot, okay? All right? I'm on course here pretty good, but I got to get to tight here. Now, the reason I'm going to talk about tight, I want you at least to understand the difference of the landmarks. Okay.
We brushed a little bit in the weak set versus 1-5 defense, 1-4, fullback, 3 safety.
Down strong?
Down weak.
Down weak? Okay. Good point, Bobby. We read declare, and I've been away from two-back so long, it's just crazy, but generally speaking, if the weak safety comes down in an under front, that backer's going to be lined up in A. Everybody with me? And that backer's going to be lined up in B. So what we do is we make this the strong safety. And we do this combination and this combination. And we tell the tackle there is no help. Because he got a what call? He got a gap call from the center telling him strong safety has now become the will player, and the Mike player has become the strong safety. We did, but there were some headaches there that weren't the same. But when we started, we were so much more strong side, where now it's become a weak side, whether it's one or two back. It's just defenses are making them do that, and the good teams can do it, and the bad teams can't stop it, so they just going to keep doing it. I mean, I saw New England in one game run like 17 times weak side wide. One game, I'm like, holy shit! How can you have it?
Go back, clean up, help the tackle on the way up to the safety.
Yeah, but I tell you what happens there. You know, they slow down, and then the runner can't read. I just put the pressure on the tackle, and I say, hey, babe, now you got to lock your backhand. Tell the fullback you got to read that as quickly as possible, because odds are they're going to fit those up pretty good. That's a good question, though. That's really adapt to understanding. But let me get to tight. Now, I'm 1 to 5, wide to weak. And statistically, I don't care. I can give you 10, 12, 15 years of statistics. The stats on a runner running tight and the stats on a runner running wide in a system that has them both. The wide is going to be so much better, it's irrelevant. I always say this, the key to running game, the biggest key is no negatives. They're hearing, we can't run the ball. What the hell is wrong? We can't run the ball. And they throw 14 balls in a row, and they catch 3 of them, and that's okay. That ain't okay, right? I mean, I got 1 and it didn't work. So, to me, I realize if I can always make 2, 3, so I'm coaching all the time the ugly ones. Because the ugly ones, what happens in the 3rd and 4th quarter? Those ugly ones aren't ugly, right? What's getting ready to take place here if you just keep mauling away? They're going to give up now. I'm telling you, they'll just, but you got to be able to punch at them. So the important thing is don't get negatives, because then it's, instead of 2nd and 11, it's 2nd and 8. And they'll come back to you. That's just the way they are. I'm sorry. Fucking play callers are communists, and they're trying to get it easy. And there ain't no easy thing about games. That's where the good teams know. They understand. It's a nasty haul. So, and then the question comes, well, how about big ones? I say, big ones are talent. If I can get the guy past the line of scrimmage for 2 yards, and he's talented, we're getting married. This is the one we're going to ride. So which guy should we put in? That's right now, baby. Put his ass in there, and you're at least 2, babe. You don't fumble. Give me at least 2. Give me something. Give me something positive. And then when you get your turn, boom, make it happen. Make it happen. And when you're hot, you get them all. You stay out there and you fucking can't do anything but tap your hat. If you got to come out, you come out. That's the way I believe you ought to be. And I've had young ones, I've had old ones. So I had guys that had to play year 1, they weren't ready, and just like you have, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. But I'm still a 5-to-1 premise person, but at some point in the game, if we got it going, if we got the wide one going, and they're starting to run those backers like crazy over the top, you got to come back and bend it over, okay? So what I wanted to be sure I didn't leave out is, what are the landmarks of tight zone compared to wide zone? Because see, I have to teach them different, okay? Now bear with me, because all the speeches I've just given you are going out the window in these combinations. Okay, tight runners, just you're a tight zone runner. Plant, crossover, shoulder square, inside leg of the tackle, run to daylight. 80% of those will run behind the center. 80% of tight zone will run behind the center. Now just listen to what I'm telling you. They'll go back there. That's what I don't like about it, is you got to account for how many people. You got them all back there, because that's where the ball's going. So I have to coach that 14 or 4 is really going 5 or 3. It ain't going front side, it's going back side. So it is a one-step system. So this step, and the landmark changes to outside eye, and the guard step is one step at the helmet, back foot straight. Because where is he coming? He's rolling that baby back down. There are no cuts. We stay up and we maul. If I'm the backside player, I got to stay alive. Because if I'm the left tackle on a 14, I'm the point of attack. Okay? So now I got to fit this into all their rules and all their teaching, and this is hard because we do so much of the other. Fuck up more tight zone steps than anywhere we got, and it just bugs the shit out of me. But I know how important they are. Plus, I want to play action pass off of tight weak because I think it's the best there is in two back. It's just the way it is. So let's go to the 4-3 defense. Now this is going to drive you cuckoo, but bear with me. So I'm going to go 15, okay? So he's open step, crossover, inside leg of the tackle. Am I saying it the right way, line coaches? Does somebody else say it different than that one? I must have heard 100 backfield coaches say that through the years. That's just what they do, and it always ends up back there, 80% of the time. It just goes back there. So now, let's go to the 4-3 defense. Okay? Mike's right there. I got 15 called. Which way I got to go? Got to go right. Does that left guard understand that? He thinks he's getting the gap call, doesn't he? We're getting a B call. You want one hard. How about that one? 14. Where's the center got to go? A call. Why? Which point of attack going to be? It's going to roll right back there. So when you go through and take all the defenses, you're going to realize things get a little itchy here real quickly. Your schematics don't always fit the way you think you would go. And then you get into nickel, and so many of the pro teams are now all nickel with 3x1 and 2x2 in their best play, whether it's out of, gun or not. Here it is. Now, how do we block this? I mean, how do we get helmets on all these guys? It's all screwed up because where's this ball going to end up? That guy's going to be the point of attack. So all your schematics and how you set tight zone premises and landmarks, they go outside eye instead of outside shoulder. And the back guard or the center, whoever's combination with you, he takes one front side step and then he's straight because the ball's going to come back behind. And you've got to block it that way accordingly. And I think it's one of the hardest things in coaching. So what I have to do when I do, my drill period, that's kind of where I want to end up, is I got to have a tight zone drill, 5 minutes strong, 5 minutes weak, every day when we have a two-back system. Somewhere I got to get it in there, okay? Now, here's the way that I teach, okay? Here's the way I teach. First of all, I try real hard to get out of calisthenics. I try to make that an individual period. Or all my guys just showed up out there 15 minutes early, right? And I'm grabbing everything I can. Special teams is going on, and I've got 2 left tackles and 1 right guard. We're going to have a real somewhere, okay? I'm stealing every minute. You're never going to see me on the line out on the field with a lineman standing over there talking and somebody else practicing. I ain't having that one. Right? We're going to go find us a drill. We're going to go get something. We're going to have one of these going on very quickly. Okay. So I got 2 of these and 2 of those. I like what they played. Here they come. And we're going to go wide, we're going to go tight. Now it's this step. So I got to mix every one of those. Okay? Then I got one more rule that always blows everybody's mind. But if you stop to think about it, I think it'll help you coach it. If we have 25 minutes, I got to have the tight ends at least 5 minutes. I could die if I couldn't have them, because otherwise they're going to become receivers. That's all they're going to be. You got to have them. So I got a tackle tight end drill that has got to be all run. I can't even get to pass protection. I can't even get the tight end to that, because he's doing 7-on-7, so I don't get him in pass pro. I mean, it's a nightmare. So what I do is I always get a 5-minute tackle tight end, and then I've got at least 2 more drills going on. Now stay with me, because if you've ever been to our practices that I've run, I will take anybody to run a drill. I mean, if I got a dad there, he's going to run a drill. Call him the water boy over here. I'll take one guy with the left guards and linebackers. I mean, I'm going to have as many drills as I can possibly have in a 25-minute period, okay? And I'm going to have them in 5-minute segments, and I want no talking going on. I don't want somebody to say, oh, you got to do, oh, you got to, it ain't time for that. I want as many hits as I can get, and I'm going to film that son of a bitch, and we're going to sit there and watch that baby too, okay? So I'm a nut on that, and then this one will kill you. I make myself have a list on our wall of every drill that I've ever used, because every technique has a drill. So I may have 3 groups going in 25 minutes doing different things to make sure I got them covered. And whatever we yesterday, we're going to do it again today. And what we didn't do right in the game, we're going to do that one. We're going to get these things covered. And then I make myself go run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. Why? What do we do? What do we do as line coaches? We go out there and we do the whole running game. The game is ever like that. What happens to their minds? What do you think really happens to their technique concepts? They got to get from this to that to this to that. So I'll stop the 5-minute drill. Okay, now you go to him in your gym. You got the pass pro with the tight end, got the tackle, you got that, you got the X block, you got that, you got this. Okay, does that make sense? All right. Now I'm on a mission. I'm making this work. I'm feeling better about it already. I can feel this. I'm so sick of people telling me that I don't like the power play. Play 1 and 2 back. That is the biggest pile of hurt in my life, okay? I don't want to ever go in a game without a power play. I want to run a power in every game plan there is. I want it. I mean, I can't live without it. And I'll tell you why. You tell me, when you play these teams that don't do anything but power, when this guy does that and he does that, what does that end do? He goes down on one knee, splits the seam, turns his shoulders, and starts groveling, right? Okay? Now, what can play is going to be run like that? What is that play? That's wide zone. Now, you tell me how that guy is going to drop his shoulder down and stop wide zone C call. He can't. Okay? If you take the power play and you mix it into wide zone, 1 and 2 back, pulling the guard. Sometime a fullback kicking it out, sometime you got to handle it with your 6 or 7 players, whatever you got, however you set it. They go together. But somebody has this thing that wide zone teams don't run a lot of power. And that happened because when fullbacks died, we no longer kick out the sound backer, right? We don't have any of those guys. So you had to go develop it out of 1 back. And that's so much harder, especially out of nickels. Let's say you're in this again and you're do you realize why that guy can't bury right there? I mean, he can bury in power, but can he bury in wide weak? I mean, to not run that play is like ridiculous. But they slowly sink down the seventh guy, and things get hard when you don't have a fullback because you can't force the play where you want it. Let's have about 6 minutes here, and then Paul's going to take it over. But I thought we'd try to have a few major questions that I rumbled and jumbled and got so crazy you didn't get it. Do we have a clear picture of what landmarks are and steps? Do we have a clear picture of the combination between what the back reads and what we're trying to show? Do we see why we're holding off the backside structures? There are times when we need some help on the backside, like short yardage running wide zone, because they'll pinch the backside end. You know, you need some wide receivers cutting off and doing things like that. But they can be setting up keeper passes just as easy. And so there's a lot of things they can give you to help you in that. So I think you need to be aware that you want to carry some of this, especially when it gets to 4-minute offense. Let's put you in two back, because you know they're coming down on both sides, to be able to bring that over there and run power and force with a fullback and hold off, because they can squeeze you so hard that you come back down. Okay? You need that, and then of course there's your bootleg right there. That's the way you put a game away. That's how you get 4-minute plays, short passes.
Back to the VM front, and you're setting up the three inside guys now.
Gotcha.
The same concept, the best guys on your side, or are you going to go double with three on the front and single up the nose?
I would run wide weak before I go anywhere. I mean, that's just me, my mentality. There's a lot of ways these people could be, but they got one more than we got before we ever started. I'd run wide force in premise, but I got a problem over here. You know, they got a whole much better play than we do. But wide weak would be my favorite concept, and then play action and keeper.
With the center, we go the same thing. It's the best guy for left.
I tell them this: if we're running wide, this always is going on.
You're just going weak.
If we're going weak, we have to turn that one loose and hold off with whatever. Find a way to get a guy, because you know that's going to scream and come down in there. But again, keepers, slides, who's man-to-man, they're not coordinated. But this is still the hole that I think you have your best chance in the bear. I tell him that combination is what I told you I start everything with, is leave your back hand. It still holds it up the same. And I never four-man that ever. It's just too sharp. And then when we go to tight zone, if we were running it, we would set it this way. There's a lot of ways they can line it up, but I then go B here, man here, put the fullback on this one, on tight. So I never three-man a tight, but I always three-man a wide, weak or strong. Then I got a set of rules that I live by. And we've all had hard days for that. 4 minutes, that's tough. That gets hard. Okay. Wait, whoa! You're going a little bit fast there. All right, I'm in one back power, right?
One back wide zone.
One back wide zone.
Yep. And then you have a 5 or a 3 technique. You the uncovered man there. How does that reach both and knock those?
Okay, you talking about this combination right here? Okay, I tell him this. You take your step and you make your read. If he's coming down, it will have occurred. As soon as he doesn't come down into your face, you start thinking push, and your eyes go back there. Because that linebacker, he's going to hear, they're going to say they want to kill me. Linebackers are running underneath. Linebackers are running underneath. They're not going to run underneath against my ass. Now, are they athletic? Yeah, they jump over me sometimes. Guys that run around some of those guys. I mean, we all don't have those kind of athletes, but that's why. That's what I'm just hammering him with. So we.
And then also wide zone, one back wide zone with a 7 foot. Same goal, 4 hours.
Okay. Now stay with me how we taught. Everybody wants to step off their outside foot right there. Well, where's the guy lined up in the 7? So which foot you got to step with? Which foot you got to step with? You got to go there. Okay? And this is the one that's becoming bigger than everything, is this 4-2 premise in nickel, where you get in a 2-eye here. And we're running wide, weak. Excuse me. This is inside footwork because the guy we're combinationing is on our inside. And we have actually changed the call. It's been gap, gap, gap. When we were stepping off our inside foot, we started making a bounce term, meaning I'm going to step and I'm going to bounce out, because the 2-eye makes me. 4-eye, a lot of times, would say to the guard, bounce. Tight end to a 7 technique would say bounce. It's to make him be aware that he's not using outside footwork. They aren't always on our outside. Sometimes they're on our inside. Does that make sense? Okay, somebody else got one here? Okay?
Coach, if you got a combo,
Okay.
and you're getting the defensive man clutching your covered man, what do you teach him so the uncovered is unable to take over? He's unable to get to the second level. So what are you teaching on that clutch?
I'm going to say we're going to knock the 7 that's grabbing. We're going to knock the 7 into the backer. He won't let me go. Okay? I got to stop the run through now. I can't allow that inside. He's going to have to go stack behind it to be free, and I want to start doubling him up over the top. Because I know one thing, we're going to gain something here. I mean, you see, what I don't want to do is try to hurry off of him and let him go, and then the backer plugs and my tackle's left. So I say, just stay in your double. He won't let you go, just stay in your double. Knock him into the lap of the backer. Knock him into the lap of the backer. And then you haven't broken down the systems of run-throughs. And then you always got to carry, guys, you always got to carry these things. If you never played the Chicago Bears, you ain't never lived, but even back to Buddy Ryan's days and Lovey Spunch, you know, you got to have one of these in all your zones. You got to have a call front and backside where we don't know whether they're coming or not, right? There ain't no more combinations. There ain't no more. That would have been gap to start with right there. But that shit. So we're gonna have a call. You know, it's Beaver. I don't know. Fuck. Give me a name. And you got that gap. And you got that gap. And you got that gap. And if they didn't come, then you got to climb up and take the backside player. But you better have a call for front side, backside, and all of them. Because when shit hits the fan, people are gonna pull that stuff, right? Now they'll pull out as much as they come, but you got to have a word that says we're swooping, we're whatever. We all got one, and I've had 10, so it tells you how many places I've been. That's just the way my mind tells me. I don't ever come in and think that, you know, some guy won't run up in there and here he comes. I'm gonna bring the center with him. We're coming all over. We're swooping. We're right. All of you got one. You better have that worked into your package here. All right. I don't want to step into Paul's stuff, but I've enjoyed. Thank you very much.